All right, welcome everyone and hello and welcome to our December 2022 study hall. My name is Brittany Wood and I'll be your host today. We are joined here today by Jeannie Clark and AJ Ootman from our customer care team. Today we will introduce you to our final release of the year, December 2022. Today's session will focus on 3 key areas of change in our new version. First, we'll tour Patron Portal and we'll walk you through the improvements and how to create and manage reservations. Next, we'll go into Webcheckout and review Patron Portal settings, some new settings as well as some existing settings we recommend you review prior to upgrade. And finally, we'll review the Allocation Contents tab. We'll end our session today by answering some of your questions, just like we typically do. All right, so we're going to start by reviewing the new and improved Patron Portal. All right, give me one moment to swap my screen. You folks should now see the Patron Portal up on the screen in mobile view. If you're not seeing that, please let me know. I want to make sure folks are able to see everything. All right.
Great.
Thanks, AJ. So the primary changes in December include enhancements to the Patron Portal. For those of you who are new to the Patron Portal is a mobile-friendly interface where your students, staff, and customers can independently browse a center's catalog of equipment, create and manage their own reservations. And now they can also view their web checkout activity, including access to certified resource types and invoices. Now, since most of our users access Patron Portal on their phones, I'll actually be demonstrating Patron Portal in the mobile view today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started by logging in. Now, the first change you will notice immediately as we log into the Patron Portal, users no longer will need to select a checkout center when logging into the portal. Rather, users are now greeted with this home screen. Now, the home screen displays reservations for all checkout centers. From the home screen, I can also view additional information, including current checkouts, checked out and assigned resources, and a history by selecting these options found under this view icon. Now, this additional information is again for all checkout centers that I have Patron Portal access to. In general, users can find action buttons such as the view and edit options on the left-hand side of Patron Portal. Now, you'll see that this also holds true if we expand to the desktop view. All right, so you should see the expanded view of Patron Portal, still with the view header and those same menu options. All right, now let's take a look at some of these actions available directly from the home screen. First, let's take a look at one of our reservations. Now, from the view of upcoming reservations, we can select a reservation to access options to edit or cancel a reservation. Now, current checkouts, if we navigate back to the home screen and select current checkouts, this is going to show any checkouts that the patron currently has within their possession. Now, by selecting one of those checkouts, this will display additional details and also may provide an option to renew the checkout if the checkout center policies allow. Now we have checked out resources. This will display a list of all items that the patron currently has and provides an easy reference point for each item's return time as well as location. All right, so this is my list of checked out resources. Now we also have assigned resources. Assigned resources displays non-circulating items assigned to the user. So for centers that provide laptops and other learning aids to students or staff members, users now have visibility to that information within Patron Portal. And finally, we can access and view our history, and this will display past completed checkouts and canceled reservations. Users can select a checkout from their history in order to copy the allocation. So we can select an allocation, select the cart icon, and then select copy. So you will notice that all of the options to cancel, edit, and renew were found on this left-hand side of Patron Portal. The copy option, though, is found under this cart icon because we're actually copying those original contents and creating a new reservation. Now let's go ahead and review the Patron Portal menu, which you can find at the bottom of the screen in mobile view and on the left-hand side of the screen when you're viewing in the desktop version of Patron Portal. So Home, of course, takes the user back to the home screen. This is where they can view those upcoming reservations and additional allocation details. Reserve allows patrons to create a reservation. We'll come back to this a bit later. Projects is available to those with the green lighting module and provides project information. Access provides users with a view of both groups and certified resource types. Certified types are available for those with the certification module. Patrons can now see certified resource types and the centers that offer them. Groups will only be visible if enabled, and if groups are not visible in Patron Portal and there's no certification module, this menu option actually does not appear, just to minimize confusion. Next, we have billing. And billing allows users to view all open invoices as well as a history of invoices. And then finally, we have help. And help provides access to our brand new how to use Patron Portal documentation. This brings us to the center screen. And the center screen is actually one of my new favorite features. The center screen allows users to view all checkout centers that they have Patron Portal access to, and also allows them to view important information before they make a reservation. From the center screen, we can view a short description of each center, as well as viewing today's and the upcoming week's operating hours. Selecting a checkout center will also provide additional details. Now, once we select a center, the message of the day will still appear at the top of the screen. On the Checkout Center screen, patrons can again view that short description as well as the upcoming week's operating hours. They can also view contact information for that center and also view the catalog of resource types. Now on the left again, we have this view icon with options that allow us to view the message of the day, reservation information, and also submit a ticket using Report a Problem. All right, so now that we've completed just a quick tour of the new Patron Portal, let's actually create a reservation. Now you should notice that this process to create a reservation is similar. We can start a reservation two ways, by selecting the cart icon right up here, or we can select this reserve menu option. We'll start our reservation using this cart option, and we'll select new reservation. And at this step, we will need to choose a checkout center. Now, when we choose the cart icon, you'll notice that my checkout center is already pre-populated since I'm viewing that checkout center information. If you select this reserve option, just be mindful that you will need to select the proper checkout center. All right, we'll select OK and begin our reservation. This will open the new reservation screen, and from here we can add additional details such as the start and end time and additional information for the reservation. I do want to take a moment to stress that custom and default properties for your center will be available on this screen. So if you currently have a custom property for patrons to agree to terms and conditions, those fields will remain after upgrade. To add items, we'll actually use the left-hand icon again. And you'll notice that in addition to the option to add items, we can also manage attachments and discard the reservation just in case we started the reservation in error. Now, once we select Add Items, this will open the catalog, which displays the same resource type catalog in the previous version. Now we can add items to our reservation by clicking through these different resource types until we see the Add One of this type option or the individual add options for each resource. Now the catalog still includes all of your favorite features, including the resource type images, descriptions, as well as related types. Items again can be added to the reservation either by selecting the Add One of this type or Add Options. The options to add a resource or a resource type will be the same as in your current version, and these are based upon your Checkout Center settings. Now you'll see that because I added an item, you will now see that there is one in cart displaying at the top of this modem. Now users can also search through the catalog using this search icon. This will expand a view of the current catalog and you can search to filter results. All right, so you can see I typed in Canon and like matches appeared. Now, once we select a type, if there are many items of that type, there's an additional search option where we can actually filter and search through resources of that type. In order to use this filter, again, we just type in a portion of that text and like matches will appear. And let's add. All right, resource types can be bookmarked just like they were in previous versions by selecting this bookmark icon right here. And your bookmark resource types are visible anytime you're viewing the catalog by selecting this bookmark icon in the catalog header. All right, now that we've added our resources, let's add some remaining details to our reservation. We'll start by adjusting the start and end times. For start and end times, we've actually added a few additional settings to better control the options within Patron Portal. We'll discuss those momentarily. For those using circulation windows or the standard date and time selector options, no changes are required. So let's adjust our time. All right, and now we'll add some additional information. Additional information may include both required and optional fields. Required fields will display this red exclamation mark. Required fields must be filled out in order to proceed and submit the reservation. If additional information is available for these fields, this eye icon will appear, communicating to the user that there is additional information that they should review. Now, once we've gone ahead and added our additional details and our start and end times, we always have to select this save option to save that info. Once we've updated the required and optional information, we can review the contents of our reservation by scrolling down to this content section. Now, if an item is unavailable, an alert icon will appear next to that item, along with the check for replacement button. Additionally, a banner will appear at the top of the reservation, communicating that there is errors on the reservation, and we can view additional details. All right, so just as within the current version, reservations cannot be saved if there are any policy violations or resources are unavailable. So let's go ahead and swap this available item for an available item. All right, now to save the reservation, we always have to be sure to resolve any errors and ensure that the header at the top displays as ready to save. Now this header again will provide feedback depending on the state of the reservation you are creating. Ready to save displays only when the reservation can be saved and there are no issues with the reservation. Feedback will be provided and the reservation will not be able to be saved if there are outstanding issues with the reservation. To save the reservation, we'll click that edit icon and then save reservation. Now, once again, the same rules still apply as they currently apply within Patron Portal. All outstanding issues such as missing required fields, unavailable resources, and policy violations must be resolved before a patron can save their reservation. Now, the reservation that we just created will now appear on that home screen. We can see it right here. And of course, by clicking on that reservation and hitting that edit, selecting that edit icon, we can edit or cancel the reservation. Now, the core features that you and your patrons still rely on are still there, but we hope that you and your patrons benefit from the additional information and provided an improved interface in the December release. With these Patron Portal improvements, now let's take a look at managing these within Webcheckout. All right, we're going to turn our attention back to our slides. All right, and you should all see my slides up on the screen now. Now, there are 4 new Patron Portal settings in December: Patron Portal reservation length, Patron Portal end granularity, and Patron Portal short and long description. Additionally, a new Patron Portal CSS file for those branding their Patron Portal will be available. For customers that already have branding applied, our technical support team will make the necessary adjustments. Now, all 4 of these new settings can be found in the Checkout Center Patron Portal tab. So let's go ahead and take a look. And we're going to navigate now into Web Checkout. And I'm located under Admin, Checkout Center, and the Patron Portal tab. And we're going to look at Patron Portal reservation length first. Patron Portal reservation length sets a default duration for all reservations created through the Patron Portal. For example, if I manage studio reservations and I want all reservations to be 1 hour in length, I would set the Patron Portal reservation length policy to 1 hour. Now, I actually have this policy already applied at one of my other checkout centers. So let's take a look at what this looks like within Patron Portal. All right, you folks should now see the Patron Portal. And we're going to start by creating a reservation, this time within Location Services. All right, now you'll notice that if I go ahead and adjust the start time, that the end time will automatically adjust based upon that start time. So once again, that is that reservation length policy. The end time automatically adjusts as I set the start time. All right, next we have Patron Portal end granularity. Now this is similar to Patron Portal start granularity, which some of you may be familiar with. Now, Patron Portal end granularity forces the start and now end time to always fall on the hour or on clear 10, 15, or 30-minute intervals based upon this policy. This brings us to Patron Portal short and Patron Portal long description. Patron Portal short and long descriptions are additional text areas to provide more information. The Patron Portal short description provides a quick glance of information that appears on the Checkout Center screen as well as on the detail screen. So let's take a look. All right, so back into the center screen within Web Checkout or within the Patron Portal, here you can see the short description as we view each center. Now, if we select one of these checkout centers, you can again view that short description when viewing details. Now, the Patron Portal long description provides reservation information in the center details, and this will be available when you select the eye literally under reservation information. And this is where you can provide additional information on policies and requirements to reserve resources at your center. Now, the patron portal short and long description are in addition to the message of the day. If you are currently using message of the day, consider how you will use these two new fields and the message of the day to best keep your patrons informed. With this, let's now take a look at some settings you'll want to review prior to upgrading. All right, so we're going to go back to our slides. All right, now we recommend periodically reviewing and updating your settings as your needs and institution's policies change. But to ensure that you are set up for success and there are no surprises, we recommend reviewing these specific settings prior to requesting your upgrade. So these settings include patron portal reservation granularity, scheduling repeats in patron portal session timeout, as well as the global default session timeout, patron portal help link, show groups, patron access requires authorization, circulation requires authorization, and the checkout center general info. Let's take a look at where you can find these settings now. All right, so this time I'm going to log in to my August version of Webcheckout, so you know where to review these settings on your current version. All right, and we're going to navigate to Admin, Checkout Center, and to the Patron Portal tab. And we'll start first with Patron Portal Reservation Granularity. Patron Portal Reservation Granularity is found on the Organization or Checkout Center Patron Portal tab. Patron Portal Reservation Granularity is no longer available and has been replaced with the Patron Portal Reservation length and end granularity settings. Next, we have schedule repeats in Patron Portal. Now, if your center allows for schedule repeats in Patron Portal, please be aware that this feature is unavailable in the December version. Repeats can still be made by an operator in Webcheckout, and patrons can still copy allocations in Patron Portal. The ability to schedule repeats in Patron Portal should be available in April 2023. Next, we have Patron Portal Timeout. Now, Patron Portal Timeout sets the idle time upon which a patron is logged out of the Patron Portal. Now that logging into the Patron Portal does not require selecting a center, this setting is no longer managed at this Checkout Center level. Rather, now it is an instance-wide setting, and the global default session timeout applies to the Patron Portal. So we'll navigate to Admin, Global Settings, and this time we'll take a look at our default session timeout, as well as this operator session timeout. Now, the default session timeout defines the idle time upon which a non-operator, so somebody who's strictly a patron, is logged out of the application. So this includes Patron Portal. The operator session timeout defines the idle time upon which an operator is logged out of Webcheckout. This also includes Patron Portal as well as other interfaces. Now, please be sure to review both the default session timeout and operator session timeout settings prior to upgrade to ensure these are set correctly for all checkout centers. All right, let's go back to our Checkout Center settings. So we're back under Admin, Checkout Center, and the Patron Portal tab, and we'll take a look at Patron Portal Help Link. So Patron Portal Help Link, it is important to note that if your Checkout Center currently uses the Patron Portal Help Link to provide your own documentation, that this will actually migrate and be used as the reservation information in Patron Portal. So we do recommend that after upgrade, you update that Patron Portal long description to include this link, as well as additional information that folks need to be aware of. Next, we have Patron Portal Show Groups. Patron Portal Show Groups is now set globally in December, and we recommend reviewing this setting prior to upgrade. If any single checkout center has the setting disabled, groups will not be visible in Patron Portal. So we do recommend reviewing that prior to upgrade. Now this brings us to patron access requires authorization. Patron access requires authorization, controls whether your checkout center is accessible to all users who use the Patron portal, or if folks must be authorized via groups to access and view your checkout center's information in the Patron portal. We highly recommend reviewing prior to upgrade to confirm access requirements are set correctly. If this setting is enabled, only people granted Patron portal access to your checkout center via groups will be able to see information and allocations on the Patron portal. If this setting is disabled, all Patron portal users will be able to see that checkout center information via the Patron portal. Now, in this newest version of Patron Portal, there's actually a way to allow Patron Portal users to view your checkout center in the portal, but not actually allow them to access and reserve equipment. So this brings us to circulation requires authorization. And this setting is actually found in the Checkout Center Allocations tab. So in the December release, this setting can be enabled to restrict the checkout center for allocations, even if patrons have Patron portal access to your checkout center. With this setting enabled, a patron granted Patron portal access, but not circulation authorization, will receive a full stop warning, preventing them from creating a reservation. However, they will still be able to review checkout center information and browse your catalog of equipment. In addition to reviewing Patron portal access, we also recommend that you review a few settings found in the checkout center general info. So once again, this is under general, and for those of you following along, we're under admin, checkout center, and we'll select general. So the checkout center building, room number, address, and telephone number will now be included in the Patron portal. So we recommend reviewing to ensure that this information is correct before it is visible in the Patron portal. Now, these are just a few settings that we recommend reviewing to prepare for your upgrade. However, additional settings may need to be adjusted depending on your workflow. Now that we've prepared you for the Patron portal improvements, let's take a look at the allocation contents tab. All right, so I'm going back into my December version, and let's take a look at our contents tab. Now, as many of you may remember, in September, AJ Ootman actually led an amazing study hall covering all of the new features available in the updated Contents tab. In December, we transitioned to this new Contents tab, which adds additional features from the timeline scheduler to streamline processes of creating and editing allocations. You'll notice on my screen that I can add items by scanning a barcode and also by accessing this catalog of equipment. Now, there are a few minor changes to expect in December on the Contents tab. So the main one is that the icon to switch to experimental mode is gone since we fully transitioned to this screen. Updated labels to add items, which was previously just add, and assign items, which was previously accept, have also been added. Now, if you are on August 2022 and you have not yet tried the new Contents tab, please do so to familiarize yourself with this December update. If you would like a complete review of the updated Contents tab, please be sure to view our September webinar as well as our documentation. And I'll actually include those in chat so you can have those for reference. Just one moment. All right. And additionally, I wanted to take a moment to remind everyone that the December 2022 release will be the final version of Web Checkout featuring the timeline scheduler. The timeline scheduler will not be featured in the April 2023 release. To continue using both timeline as well as the updated contents tab for sunsetting timeline scheduler, please be sure to update to December 2022 at your earliest convenience. All right, now that we've reviewed this release, let's discuss a few ways that we can help to make this transition a bit easier. Now, we understand that change can definitely be difficult, but we do have options to provide your team with the support that they need. Of course, with any new version, we will provide release notes and documentation on these features. I will actually include those in chat now. And you can also find those in our follow-up email. Give me one moment. I'm grabbing our docs. And I would also recommend that you connect with our web checkout, with other web checkout users by joining our web checkout community site. And I'll include that as well within our chat. Now, you will need to register in order to access the web checkout community, but this is a really great tool to connect with other web checkout users. Now, of course, I would always recommend training and consultation services to help your team with any transition. This provides you with one-on-one guidance and support to ensure that web checkout is set up correctly to meet your needs. Additionally, for those of you who rely heavily on Patron Portal, I recommend a test instance so your team can have a sandbox to familiarize themselves and make updates to internal processes or documents prior to updating your production instance. If you are interested in services or a test instance, please reach out to support and we will follow up with details. Now, as a quick reminder, as a courtesy, our technical support team will be updating existing Patron Portal CSS for those clients that do already have a branded Patron Portal. Alternatively, if your team prefers to update the CSS, that is still an option, and stay tuned for December's CSS file. If your Patron Portal does not yet include your institution's logos or colors, this is actually a really great time to discuss branding options, so please reach out to support for details. All right. So thank you all so much for joining us today. I do want to add a brief reminder that your web checkout admins can schedule an upgrade by emailing support@webcheckout.net. And I'll include that again in chat so you have everything easily to reference. Also, please be sure to check out our release notes and our documentation and join the web checkout community. All right, so I do want to check in to see if there's any questions before we end our session with a short poll.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Brittany. There were some great questions popped into chat, and we felt all of these were related to exactly what you were going over, so we just wanted to answer them as a group. The first question came in from Asa. Asa asks, if a customer only has access to one checkout center, will it skip that step?
If a patron only has access to one checkout center, will it skip the selecting of a checkout center step?
Yes.
That's
Asa, I was going to say our customer care team gave me that answer. So the checkout center must still be selected, even if you only have just one center. Our next one is from Chris. Chris asks, is there a visual indicator that a field is required? So something like an asterisk. Yes, Chris, presently that would be the exclamation point. So if there's a field that has to be edited.
Got it. I'm getting that up right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah, this is that exclamation point that AJ was referring to for those required fields.
Perfect. And then Utai asks, so will custom properties still retain, following this upgrade if they've added a custom property to their reservation?
Definitely. And this is actually one of my custom properties right here. So this is where folks agree to terms and conditions. There's also this eye icon, just in case you have additional info or a hyperlink to link to an outside source.
Awesome. And then Gregory asks, does the new message of the day support HTML?
That is a good question. And I think I would need to do a little bit of extra research just to make sure I can give an accurate answer.
It does.
It does.
Yes, both do. Both
Great
the
job.
short and long, both the short and long descriptions except support HTML. Yes.
Thanks, Jeannie. I appreciate that.
Great. And then in the chat, we have a few questions rolling up. And it looks like, Kathy, you have your hand up. So I'll first get to the first question by Jared. Could report a problem be hidden or removed from the patron portal? So this would be a question for those of you with the ticketing module. So presently, Jared, that functionality is not available to my knowledge. But thank you for that feedback. That could definitely be something we file as a feature request. Or now on our community site, you can actually submit one yourself.
I'm sorry, AJ, was the question about could report a problem be hidden or removed? That is a setting.
Mm-hmm. So it's found here, admin checkout center patron portal, allow patrons to submit tickets in the patron portal. This one right here is what you would want to disable if you do not want to allow tickets.
Thank you, Jeannie and Brittany. I misunderstood that. Thank you so much. The next by Gregory is, when is the update available? How soon do you recommend we perform the update?
It should be available soon. I don't believe we have an exact date that we're announcing, unless Jeannie, you have an exact date we can announce.
So as you've seen, and as Brittany's going through the demo, her version's actually a little bit behind, but we are finishing up some typesetting and some last minute testing. We are planning to release early next week, if not late this week, but in the next few days, it's coming. We're getting ready to come out your way. It's coming out your way in the next few days.
Awesome. The next, Gregory asks in chat regarding related types. Many of those are auto-populated to our resources in the patron portal. Is there going to be a way to remove those AI-generated types?
There's no way currently to remove, but you can always add your own within the resource type details screens. That's always an option if you wanted them to propose specific types.
And I want to go to Kathy. I know you've had your hand up. Kathy, do you want to unmute yourself and just ask our question?
Yeah, since you're getting rid of the timeline scheduler, could you just go through how a reservation is now going to look and put in a new reservation for someone? That would just help me to get the visual on.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. And Kathy, just as a quick reminder, the timeline is available in December. We're planning it will no longer be available in April. So you still have a bit of time.
Okay, all right.
So we would recommend upgrading to December just to help with that transition, but using the new contents tab. So I've already started a reservation right here.
Well, is there another screen before we come to this screen?
I'll do that. So let me go ahead and just reset this.
Yeah, I'd like to see it from the beginning. Thank you.
Yeah, so when you click the reservation card icon or the checkout icon, you'll be brought to this screen right here, which is the contents tab. You would start by adding the patron. And if you require groups or projects, you would include that info. And then of course, adjust the start and end time. So we always start with patron first, start and end time second. Then we would select submit, and then the contents tab will appear. And from here, you can add resources by scanning barcode. You could also search using one of these autocompletes, and you'll see like matches appear. But what I prefer to use and what a lot of folks prefer to use is actually their catalog of resource types.
Yeah, I like that.
And you can double click to add, just like in previous versions, but it's only one screen now.
Okay, and we'll still have access to allocation notes to add
Of
that to the
course.
order. Okay, other information. Okay,
You got it.
cool. I'll just wait for the new version to drop. Thanks.
Perfect. That was a great question.
Awesome. Also in chat, Romeo asks, will message of the day no longer be automatically shown on login?
It will not show on login, but they will see it when they select a checkout center. So to go back to patron portal, folks, when they log in, will see their home screen so they can see reservations regardless of which center it's at. When they select the center, they will then choose, right, the patron portal and or the center rather, and from here they'll see that message of the day. I hope that answers the question.
Great. And then backing up, there was an earlier question we missed. So Gregory at Toyota asks, does assigned resources show items that are assigned to a location they are the responsible person for in patron portal? Gregory, do you mind just giving us a little more information on that question?
Yeah, sure. I saw it when you were demonstrating the mobile version of Patron Portal. There was a section there for assigned persons. So we have some of our equipment assigned to locations, and each of those locations has a responsible person. So I'm wondering if the equipment that is assigned to those locations will show up for that responsible person in the Patron Portal.
So the assigned resource section will show resources that are assigned to the persons. They would have to be assigned a non-circulating item assigned to a person for them to be able to view it in the patron portal.
It has to be assigned directly to them and not to a location.
Correct, you got it.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We also just got into chat. Adam at the University of Minnesota asks, will we still be able to have a view availability when making a reservation or a checkout for a patron? So
yeah.
I believe that's for this contents tab.
That is a great question. And so right now I'm viewing the contents tab. I just right clicked on a resource type and you'll see that here I can access that view availability. Also, you can still view availability within the patron portal as well. So you'll still have this timeline scheduler timeline showing that availability as well. That's a great question.
Awesome. And then Suzanne asks, is the message of the day still a blanket of all centers, or can it be different for each checkout center?
Yeah, that's also another great question. Before I jump to here, I just wanted to show where this timeline view is in patron portal. So once again, in the catalog, I clicked right here on the clock icon, the time icon. All right, and then the next question was about message of the day. And that question was, is it available to be set per checkout center? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's correct. So is it still a blanket message of the day, or will it be per checkout center?
Per checkout center. You got it.
Great questions in the chat. Are there any other questions? Feel free to pop them in the chat or raise your hand. Let's see, I see Romeo, go ahead.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to understand, so the bulk of our borrowers, like something like, I don't know, up to like 15,000 people, only have access to my checkout center. So now there's an added step for them to get to my checkout center after they log in.
So let me, go ahead.
Actually, Romeo, there's we should show them too that Once they log in, I think Brittany was telling me the steps on how to create a reservation. What's the additional step, Romeo, that's the concern? They'll just,
Well, it sounds like they still have to choose my checkout center, even though that's the only one they have access to.
Yeah.
but when they click reserve, it's just gonna click that, it's just gonna have their one center and then they'll just click OK. But yes, they will have to click OK. We have yet to optimize this function. So we understand that there's going to be several, many who just have one center. And this is the first release of it. And it is something that we are working to optimize. So if you only have one center, when you click reserve, you don't have to actually click OK. We'll just,
Okay.
that is something that we have yet to optimize that. But the process, yes, they will have to click OK if they only have one checkout center.
Okay. Thanks, Jeannie. Appreciate it.
Are there any other questions in the chat? Did we miss any?
It
Any
looks
other-
like that's it. Great job, Brittany. Thank you so much. That looks like that's everything that's come in
Well,
so far.
Excellent. I'm going to leave us with one more poll to end our session. And this is just a poll to check in to see when folks are planning on upgrading to our brand new version. So I'm going to go ahead and launch that. All right, you folks should see a new poll just asking you when you anticipate upgrading to the December 2022 release. And just to end our session today, thank you all so much for joining us. We do truly appreciate each and every one of our customers. So thank you all for taking the time. And from all of us at Webcheckout, we wish you all a happy and healthy holiday season and new year. Please be sure to vote, but thank you all so much for your time today. And thanks for using those polls and voting. We'll give everyone about another minute to vote. Are there any other questions or concerns before we wrap up? If not, thank you all so much for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and an even better winter break. I hope everyone has a great winter break. You all deserve it.
Absolutely. I'm encouraged. It looks like the leader is sometime before January. So that's exciting. Looks like quite a few too in March and April.
Perfect.
So that's great news.
And I'm just going to share results quickly so we can take a look. Yeah, it looks like most folks are planning to upgrade before the end of the month. That's great. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Any questions, concerns?
Looks like that's it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye now.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Brittany. Thanks, AJ.